The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky without warning. Admiral Kethfer stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small blue planet below. His 3 ships were enormous, each one the size of a human city. The Zephyr fleet had conquered dozens of worlds using the same simple plan: show overwhelming force, demand surrender, and most species would give up without a fight. Begin scanning their military capabilities, Kethfer ordered his crew. The results came back quickly. Primitive nuclear weapons, basic satellites, no faster than light travel. This would be easy. On Earth, Commander Lee Hyun watched the alien vessels from his command center in Seoul. The 3 ships hung in space like dark metal moons, each one bristling with weapons. His communications officer, Captain Park Soman, was coordinating with military bases around the world. "Sir, we're receiving surrender demands in over 40 languages," Soman reported. "They want us to cease all military operations and prepare for occupation." Haeon studied the tactical displays showing the alien positions. Every military leader on Earth was asking the same question: how do you fight something that massive? The alien ships could probably destroy entire cities with a single shot. "What's the status of our defensive systems?" Haeon asked. "All nuclear missile sites are active. The orbital defense platforms are armed. Even our civilian space stations are reporting weapon modifications complete," So Min replied. Haeon nodded slowly. Humanity had been preparing for this possibility ever since they first looked up at the stars. Not for peace, but for war. Send a message to all forces worldwide. No surrender. No negotiations. If they want our planet, they'll pay the full price. Admiral Kethfer received Earth's response with confusion. Instead of surrender, every human military installation had gone to maximum alert. Nuclear missiles were spinning up in silos across the planet. Space-based weapons were targeting his ships. Even civilian satellites were moving into attack positions. "Admiral, they appear to be preparing for combat," his tactical officer reported nervously. "Impossible," Kethfer replied. "They can see our firepower. This must be a misunderstanding." To clarify the situation, Kethfer ordered a demonstration. His flagship fired a single precise beam at an empty military base in the Pacific Ocean. The beam carved a perfect crater in the island, showing exactly what would happen to any human city that resisted. The human response was immediate and total. Every nuclear weapon on Earth launched simultaneously. Orbital defense platforms opened fire with everything they had. Military satellites began ramming into the alien ships. Even civilian spacecraft joined the attack, their crews volunteering for suicide missions. Kim Min-ho was commanding Earth's largest space station when the battle began. The station was originally built for scientific research, but the crew had spent months converting it into a weapon. When he saw the alien flagship destroying human positions, Min-ho made a decision that would change galactic history. "All crew to escape pods," he announced over the station's communication system. "I'm taking us in for a ramming attack." "Sir, that's suicide," his second officer protested. "Maybe," Min-ho replied calmly, "but that alien ship won't survive the impact either." The space station accelerated toward the alien flagship like a giant bullet. Admiral Kethfer watched in horror as the human facility approached his ship at tremendous speed. His weapons destroyed most of the station, but the debris continued forward, smashing into his hull with devastating force. The flagship survived, but barely. Half of Kethfer's crew were dead or injured. His ship's weapons were offline. Around him, the other 2 alien vessels were taking similar damage from human attacks. "Admiral, we're losing ships to ramming attacks," his communications officer reported. "The humans are using everything as weapons. Cargo ships, research stations, even small personal spacecraft." Kethfer had never seen anything like it. Most species fought carefully, trying to minimize losses. Humans fought like they wanted to die, as long as they took their enemies with them. Nuclear explosions lit up space around his fleet. Human pilots were detonating atomic bombs next to their own forces, accepting massive casualties to damage alien ships after 6 hours of continuous battle. Kethver made a decision no Zephyrian admiral had ever made before. Signal retreat. All ships withdraw. Immediately. As the alien fleet limped away from Earth, Kethver stared at his tactical displays. He had lost one complete ship and suffered severe damage to the others. The humans had lost thousands of people and most of their orbital infrastructure. But they had won. Back on Earth, Commander Li Hyun surveyed the damage reports. The planet's defenses were in ruins. Millions of people were dead. But the aliens were gone, and humanity was still free. Sir, we're receiving messages from our deep space monitoring stations, Captain Park Soman reported. The alien fleet is broadcasting on multiple frequencies as they retreat. What are they saying? It appears to be some kind of warning signal. Sir, they're telling other alien forces to classify humanity as an extreme threat. Hyun smiled grimly. Good. Let the galaxy know that humans don't surrender. They fight to the end, no matter the cost. The next aliens who came to Earth would know exactly what they were facing in the depths of space. Admiral Kethver was already composing his report to the Galactic Confederation. 3 words would define humanity's entry into galactic politics. Catastrophic threat species. 6 months after the first battle, Admiral Kethver returned to Earth with 50 warships. This time, there would be no mistakes. The human resistance would be crushed completely. His fleet was large enough to destroy entire planets, and he intended to use every bit of that power. Admiral, we're approaching the Sol system, his navigator reported. Sensors are detecting unusual activity around the 3rd planet. Kethver studied the tactical display and felt his confidence drain away. The space around Earth looked nothing like it had 6 months ago, where there had been a few scattered satellites and space stations. Now there were thousands of objects. Massive metal structures orbited the planet like mechanical rings. Converted asteroids hung in space, bristling with weapons. Even the debris from the first battle had been collected and turned into floating minefields. How did they build all of this so quickly? Kethver wondered aloud. On Earth's newest orbital defense station, Captain Choi Minwoo was preparing for the battle he knew would come. The station had been built from 3 cargo ships welded together and covered in armor plating. It wasn't pretty, but it was armed with enough nuclear missiles to destroy a small fleet. Status report, Minwoo called to his crew. Lieutenant Yang Soo-jin checked her displays. All weapon systems are online. The mining platforms report ready. Even the solar collection satellites have been converted to combat use. Minwoo nodded. After the first alien attack, humanity had gone into full war production mode. Every factory on Earth was building weapons. Every space-capable vessel was turned into a combat ship. Even peaceful research stations now carried enough firepower to threaten alien warships. Remember the plan, Minwoo announced to his crew. We're not trying to win a clean victory. We're making them pay such a high price that they'll never want to come back. The alien fleet began their attack with overwhelming firepower. 50 ships fired simultaneously, destroying dozens of human defense platforms in the first few minutes. But for every platform destroyed, 2 more opened fire. The humans had learned from the first battle. They spread their weapons across hundreds of locations, making it impossible to destroy them all quickly. Admiral Kethver watched his tactical display with growing alarm. Human attacks were coming from every direction. Converted mining ships fired streams of metal projectiles at his fleet. Solar satellites focused deadly beams of energy on his vessels. Most disturbing of all, the humans were using their own installations as weapons. Commander Oh Junsu was in charge of Orbital Station Taegyuk when it came under direct attack. The station was losing power, and half his crew were dead or wounded. But Junsu had one option left. All surviving crew to the escape pods, he ordered calmly. Sir, what are you going to do? his second officer asked. I'm going to overload our reactor, Junsu replied. When it explodes, it should take out those 3 alien cruisers that are attacking us. That's suicide, Commander. Junsu smiled. Maybe. But those aliens will learn what happens when they attack humanity. The station's reactor overload created an explosion visible from Earth's surface. The blast destroyed Junsu's station completely, but it also crippled 3 alien ships and damaged several others. Across the battle zone, similar scenes were playing out. Human commanders were turning their own facilities into bombs, ramming enemy ships, and detonating nuclear weapons at close range. The battle lasted 18 brutal hours. Admiral Kethfer had never experienced anything like it. Most species fought to minimize their own casualties. Humans seemed to fight as if death was acceptable, as long as they inflicted maximum damage on their enemies. Admiral, the humans are launching another wave of suicide attacks, his tactical officer reported. Small spacecraft loaded with nuclear warheads are approaching our formation. Destroy them all, Kethfer ordered. But there were too many targets. Some of the suicide ships got through, detonating against alien hulls and opening massive breaches. Other human vessels rammed directly into alien ships, their crews shouting battle cries even as they died. Captain Park Min-jae commanded one of Earth's converted cargo haulers. His ship was barely armed, but it was fast, and his crew was determined. When 3 alien fighters cornered his vessel, Min-jae made a decision that shocked even his own crew. Set course directly for that alien battleship, he ordered. Sir, we'll never survive a collision with something that size, his pilot protested. I know, Min-jae replied calmly. But look at our cargo hold. We're carrying 50 tons of industrial explosives. If we hit them at full speed, the cargo ship's impact created a fireball that could be seen from across the solar system. The alien battleship survived, but barely. Its hull was cracked open and most of its weapons were destroyed as the battle continued. Admiral Kethfer realized he was facing something unprecedented in galactic warfare. The humans weren't just willing to die for their planet. They were eager to trade their lives for alien casualties. Every human ship destroyed took alien vessels with it. Every defense platform that fell exploded with enough force to damage nearby enemies. When the battle finally ended, Admiral Kethfer had technically won. The human orbital defenses were destroyed. Earth's space-based military was gone, but the cost had been devastating. 37 of his 50 ships were destroyed or heavily damaged. Thousands of alien crew members were dead as his battered fleet limped away from Earth. Kethfer composed his final report to the Galactic Confederation. The humans had lost the battle, but they had won something more important. They had proven that attacking Earth would always cost more than any victory was worth. The report contained a single, terrifying conclusion. Humanity must be classified as a catastrophic threat species, not because they were technologically superior, but because they fought with a savage determination that no civilized species could match. The news of humanity's brutal fighting style spread through the galaxy like a dangerous infection. In military academies across dozens of worlds, alien officers studied recordings of the Earth battles with a mixture of fascination and horror. The humans had lost both fights, but they had made victories so costly that no one wanted to face them again. Strategic Analyst Veltar of the peaceful Altarian Republic was one of the first to understand what humanity represented. He had spent weeks reviewing battle footage, reading survivor reports, and analyzing human military doctrine. His conclusions terrified him. They don't fight wars the way we understand them, Veltar reported to the Altarian Defense Council. Most species fight to achieve specific goals, with acceptable losses. Humans fight as if the only acceptable outcome is total victory or complete annihilation. The evidence was overwhelming. Trade disputes with human merchants escalated to complete economic warfare, with humans willing to destroy their own profits to ruin their competitors. Border conflicts involving human colonies always ended the same way. Every human fought until no one was left alive. Even diplomatic meetings became dangerous when humans were involved. Ambassador Lim Dayun had represented Earth in the most infamous of these diplomatic incidents. During trade negotiations with the powerful Centauran Empire, the aliens had tried to pressure humanity by threatening economic sanctions. Dayun's response had shocked the entire galactic community. "If you impose sanctions on Earth," she had said calmly during the recorded session, "we will consider it an act of war. Earth currently maintains enough nuclear weapons to sterilize both of your homeworlds. We have the delivery systems to reach your planets. And most importantly, we have the will to use them." The Centauran ambassador had laughed, thinking it was a bluff. "You would destroy yourselves in the process." "Yes," Dayun had replied without emotion, "we would. But you would still be dead." The negotiations ended with the Centaurans agreeing to all human demands. The recording of that meeting was now required viewing in diplomatic schools across the galaxy. Captain Sung Jaemin commanded humanity's first official interstellar vessel, a ship designated as an exploration craft by Earth's government. When Regelian border patrol ships intercepted him near their territory, they quickly discovered that human exploration vessels were unlike anything else in the galaxy. "Unknown ship, you are approaching Regelian space," the patrol commander transmitted. "State your intentions." "This is Captain Sung of the Earth vessel Pioneer," Jaemin replied. "We are conducting peaceful exploration of this sector." The commander ran a sensor sweep of the human ship and couldn't believe the results. "Your exploration vessel is carrying enough weapons to challenge a battle cruiser. This violates 17 interstellar treaties." "We didn't sign those treaties," Jaemin responded simply. "And Captain, I should mention that if you fire on us, Earth will interpret that as an act of war against our entire species." The Regelian commander knew what that meant. He had read the reports about human warfare. He had seen the footage of human crews ramming their ships into enemy vessels while screaming battle cries. He ordered his patrol ships to let the humans pass. Word spread quickly through military channels. The humans were building ships that looked peaceful, but carried devastating firepower. More importantly, they were willing to escalate any confrontation to total warfare, regardless of how minor the initial dispute might be. The effect on galactic military thinking was immediate and profound. The peaceful Altarian Republic shocked everyone by adopting human-style tactics in their border war with the Kethmoran raiders. Instead of the traditional limited engagement, Altarian forces converted mining ships into kinetic weapons and destroyed an entire enemy fleet in a single, brutal attack. General Zorak of the Centauran Empire established the galaxy's first human-style military units. These shock troops were trained to ignore casualties, use unconventional weapons, and treat every battle as a fight to the death. Other species watched nervously as the Centaurans began winning conflicts they had previously struggled with. "The humans have changed everything," complained Admiral Vexery of the Draconian Fleet during a military conference. "Species that used to fight by the rules are now adopting their savage methods." But it wasn't just military tactics that were changing. Human trading vessels, commanded by captains like Kim Woojin and Lee Soo-young, were reshaping galactic commerce. When pirates tried to raid human cargo ships, they discovered that every merchant vessel carried military-grade weapons and crews trained in combat. More than one pirate fleet had been destroyed by ships they thought were easy targets. The most disturbing development was how quickly other species were learning from humanity. The methodical vegan collective began modifying their exploration ships to carry hidden weapons. The nomadic Tory started training their civilians in military tactics. Even the ancient and wise Ethereal Council began preparing for total war, scenarios they had never previously considered. Dr. Yoon Ji-hye, Earth's leading expert on interstellar relations, watched these developments with satisfaction from her office in the Seoul Institute of Technology. Her research team had predicted this exact scenario. Humanity didn't need to conquer the galaxy to dominate it. They just needed to exist, and their mere presence would force every other species to adapt to human methods of warfare. Ma'am, we're receiving reports of 3 more species adopting human military doctrines. Her assistant Major Kim Taeho reported. Good Yoon replied. The more they copy our methods, the more they understand why no one should ever attack Earth directly. Across the galaxy, the message was becoming clear. Humanity had introduced a new concept to galactic warfare, the idea that any conflict, no matter how small, could escalate to total annihilation. That terrifying possibility was changing how every species approached war, diplomacy, and even simple trade negotiations. The age of limited, civilized warfare was ending. The human age had begun. The Galactic Confederation High Council met in emergency session on the neutral world of Nexus Prime. Representatives from 50 different species filled the massive chamber. But they were all discussing the same problem: humanity. Despite being confined to a single star system, the humans had become the most dangerous military influence in known space. Council leader Morthok called the session to order with obvious frustration. We are here to discuss the human situation. Intelligence Director Zerthalis will present his findings. Zerthalis activated a holographic display showing the Sol system. Our long-range sensors have detected massive construction projects in human space. They are building something in their outer asteroid belt, beyond the orbit of their gas giant planets. The display zoomed in on enormous shipyards floating in the darkness between worlds. Thousands of construction drones worked continuously on vessels that dwarfed anything humanity had previously built. We estimate they will achieve interstellar capability within 2 standard years. A worried murmur ran through the council chamber. General Mordok of the Vegan Defense Force stood. To speak, we must act now, before they spread beyond their system. A preemptive strike would eliminate the threat permanently, and start a war with a species that fights to total annihilation, countered Ambassador Velenora of the Altarian Republic. Have you forgotten what happened to Admiral Kethver's fleets? On Earth, Admiral Kong Sujin stood in the command center of humanity's largest orbital shipyard. Through the observation windows, she could see the construction of humanity's first true starships. These vessels were nothing like the converted civilian craft that had fought in the orbital battles. They were purpose-built weapons of war, designed by people who understood that space combat was about survival. Progress report Sujin requested from her chief engineer, Commander Han Woo-sung. All construction schedules are ahead of target, Woo-sung replied, consulting his tablet. The first squadron will be ready for trials in 6 months. Each ship is designed with the lessons we learned from the alien attacks. Sujin nodded approvingly. Every human starship was built around a simple philosophy. If it was going to die in battle, it should take as many enemies as possible with it. The ships carried enough nuclear warheads to sterilize planets. Their hulls were designed to create maximum debris when destroyed. Even their life support systems could be turned into weapons, if necessary. What about our intelligence network? Sujin asked. Colonel Yoon Ji-hai reports that our deep space monitoring stations are fully operational. We can track any alien movement within 50 light-years of Earth. Back on Nexus Prime, the Confederation Council continued to debate. The problem was becoming more complex every day. Humanity wasn't just building ships, they were changing the nature of galactic warfare itself. Species that had fought limited, civilized wars for centuries were now adopting human tactics of total destruction. The Centauran Empire destroyed an entire Draconian fleet last month using human-style ramming attacks. Reported Intelligence Director Zarthelis. The Altarians have converted their mining ships into kinetic weapons. Even the peaceful Tory are training civilian populations in combat techniques. Council Leader Morthok looked around the chamber at representatives from dozens of species. The humans have infected our entire region of space with their warfare methods. How do we contain something like that? The debate continued for hours. Some representatives wanted to offer humanity full membership in the Confederation, hoping to control them through diplomacy. Others demanded immediate military action before human ships could spread throughout the galaxy. A few suggested trying to quarantine the Sol system permanently on one of Earth's outer monitoring stations. Major Kim Tae-ho watched long-range sensors track alien fleet movements near human space. The station was officially a scientific research facility, but Kim knew its real purpose. If any alien force approached Earth, humanity would know about it days in advance. Major, we're detecting unusual activity in the Rigel sector, reported his sensor operator, Lieutenant Park Min-kyung. Large fleet concentrations from multiple species. Kim studied the display with growing concern. Are they moving toward Earth? Unknown, sir. But the fleet compositions suggest they're preparing for major military operations. Kim immediately transmitted the intelligence to Earth's Defense Command. If the aliens were planning another attack, humanity would be ready. The new starships might not be completed, but Earth's orbital defenses were stronger than ever. More importantly, human space was now surrounded by automated weapon platforms that could operate even if Earth itself was destroyed. The Confederation Council's debate was interrupted by an urgent message from their deep space monitoring network. Long-range sensors had detected something approaching from beyond the galactic rim. A massive fleet of unknown vessels moving toward inhabited space. The signatures don't match any known species, reported the sensor technician, his voice filled with fear. Size estimates suggest ships larger than anything in our databases. They're heading directly for our most populated sectors. Council leader Morthok felt a chill run through his body. How long until they arrive? 6 months, assuming they maintain current speed. The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. They were facing an external threat that could destroy everything they had built. And the only species in the galaxy that specialized in total warfare was humanity. General Mordok, who had been advocating for attacks on Earth, suddenly saw the situation differently. Perhaps we should consider a different approach to the human problem. The greatest military crisis in galactic history was approaching, and everyone knew that conventional tactics would be useless against an unknown enemy. They needed allies who understood that war meant fighting until one side was completely destroyed. They needed the humans. The alien fleet approaching from beyond the galaxy was unlike anything the Confederation had ever encountered. The ships were massive, organic-looking vessels that moved through space like living creatures. Preliminary scans revealed technology that adapted and evolved during battle. Worst of all, the fleet showed no interest in communication or negotiation. They simply consumed everything in their path. Admiral Kethfer, the same officer who had first attacked Earth, found himself in the uncomfortable position of requesting human assistance. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the communication display that would connect him directly to Earth's military command. "Open the channel," he ordered reluctantly. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Lee Myung received a transmission in her command center deep beneath Sol. The irony was not lost on her. The alien who had once tried to conquer Earth was now asking for help. Around her, human officers watched the conversation with barely concealed satisfaction. Admiral Kethfer Myung said calmly, "I remember you. You're the one who demanded our surrender." "The situation has changed," Kethfer replied stiffly. "We face an enemy that threatens all life in this galaxy. The Confederation offers humanity full membership and territorial rights in exchange for military assistance against the Devourer fleet." Myung studied the tactical data her intelligence officers had gathered about the approaching threat. The enemy ships were enormous and appeared to be completely immune to conventional weapons. Traditional galactic military doctrine would be useless against such an opponent. "We accept your offer," Myung said. But understand this, if we're going to fight this war, we do it the human way. No restrictions, no rules of engagement, no concerns about collateral damage. Agreed, Cuthbert replied quickly. He had read the reports about human warfare. He knew what he was unleashing. Commander Park Jin-woo was humanity's leading expert in information warfare. His specialty was turning enemy communication systems against themselves. When the first Devourer ships entered Confederation space, Jin-woo was ready with tactics no alien had ever imagined. The enemy uses a hive mind communication network, Jin-woo explained to his team of human and alien officers. They share information instantly across their entire fleet, but that also means we can inject false data into their system. Jin-woo's cyber attacks began within hours of first contact. Instead of trying to destroy enemy communications, he fed the Devourer hive mind contradictory information about fleet positions, resource locations, and strategic priorities. The result was chaos as Devourer ships began attacking each other. Confused by conflicting orders from their own command network, Admiral Cho Yuansu commanded the first mixed human-alien battle fleet in galactic history. Her ships carried weapons, designed specifically to cause maximum psychological damage to the enemy. Nuclear warheads that created massive light displays, sonic weapons that broadcast terrifying sounds across all frequencies, chemical weapons that made enemy ships literally smell like death. Admiral, the Devourer fleet is approaching our position, reported her tactical officer, Captain Bang Sumi. Good, Yansu replied. Signal all ships to begin psychological warfare protocols. I want those creatures to feel fear for the first time in their existence. The human weapons had an unexpected effect on the Devourer ships. The hive mind had never experienced emotions like fear or confusion. When human psychological attacks began affecting their crews, the collective consciousness started to break. Down ships that had functioned as perfect components of a larger organism suddenly began operating independently, making mistakes and poor tactical decisions. General An Hasiok was in charge of coordinating the massive fleet operations that would determine the war's outcome. His command style shocked the alien officers serving under him. When Confederation vessels were destroyed by enemy fire, An treated the losses as acceptable casualties if they achieved strategic objectives. General, we've lost 3 cruisers in the last engagement, reported his alien second-in-command. What did we accomplish? An asked without emotion. We destroyed a major Devourer command ship and disrupted their formation in Sector 7. Then it was worth it, An replied. Order the next wave to attack the same position. Use the debris field from the destroyed ships as cover. The alien officers in An's command center looked at each other nervously. They had never served under commanders who treated friendly casualties as tools to be used for tactical advantage. But the strategy was working. Human-led fleets were achieving victory rates far higher than traditional Confederation forces. Captain Bang Sumi led the final assault on the Devourer mothership, a vessel the size of a small moon that coordinated the entire enemy fleet. Her attack force included ships from a dozen different species, all following human tactical doctrine. All vessels begin ramming speed approach, Sumi ordered over the fleet communication network. Remember, if your ship is going to be destroyed, make sure you take enemies with you. The battle for the mothership was brutal, even by human standards. Sumi's forces deliberately sacrificed entire squadrons to create openings for other ships to attack. Human crews detonated nuclear devices inside enemy vessels. Alien pilots, trained in human warfare methods, flew suicide missions against critical targets. When the Devourer mothership finally exploded, the destruction was visible from several star systems away. The enemy fleet immediately began retreating, their hive mind coordination completely broken by the loss of their central command. The war was over. But the galaxy had been permanently changed. Humanity emerged not as conquerors, but as the Confederation's primary military power. Every species now understood a fundamental truth about humans. When they fought to win at any cost, and that terrifying certainty made them both the most valuable and most feared allies in known space. The age of human warfare had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.